Most people don't realize they are wasting their life until something forces them to stop. A loss, a failure, a moment of silence that feels heavier than usual. And in that moment, a quiet thought appears. I should have understood this sooner. But by then, something has already slipped away. Time, opportunities, relationships, energy. Things that cannot be recovered no matter how much clarity you suddenly gain. The strange part is this: the signs were always there, the lessons were always present, but the mind has a habit of postponing truth. It tells you that there is more time, that things will work themselves out, that you can deal with reality later. So you delay, you avoid, you assume, and slowly, without noticing, you begin to build a life based on illusions. Stoic philosophers understood this deeply. They didn't see life as something to drift through, but something to confront clearly without denial. They knew that most people don't lack intelligence, they lack awareness at the right time. Because wisdom for many arrives late, not because it is hidden, but because it is uncomfortable. Human beings are naturally drawn toward what feels easy. We seek comfort, approval, certainty. We avoid discomfort, uncertainty, and difficult truths. And in doing so, we blind ourselves to the very insights that would save us years of regret. Marcus Aurelius wrote to himself as a reminder, not because he didn't know the truth, but because even a Roman emperor could forget it. Seneca warned that life is long enough if you know how to use it, yet most people spend it as if they have an endless supply. This is the pattern. We don't fail to learn because the lessons are rare. We fail because we resist them.
If you look closely, almost every painful realization follows the same structure. First, we place value on the wrong things. Then we react emotionally when reality doesn't match our expectations, and only after the consequences do we step back and see clearly. By then, the lesson feels obvious, but before that moment, it feels invisible. This is why people say things like, "I wish I knew this earlier," not because the truth wasn't available, but because their perception was clouded by fear, ego, and distraction. And if you begin to observe your own life, you may notice this pattern repeating in subtle ways. The same frustrations, the same anxieties, the same regrets forming quietly in the background. But once you see the pattern, something changes. You stop waiting for life to force the lesson on you, and you begin to understand it before it's too late. One of the first and most difficult realizations is this: you don't control what happens to you, but you do control how you respond. At first, this idea can feel unsettling because it removes the illusion that you can shape everything according to your desires. People spend years trying to control outcomes, trying to make others behave a certain way, trying to ensure that nothing goes wrong. And when reality refuses to cooperate, they feel frustrated, anxious, even helpless. But the Stoics saw this clearly. Epictetus taught that some things are within our control and others are not. And suffering begins the moment you confuse the two. Think about how often your peace depends on something outside of you, a result, a person, an expectation. You want things to go your way. You expect people to act as you hope, and when they don't, your mind reacts. But reality does not adjust itself to your preferences. A job opportunity falls through. A relationship changes. Plans collapse without warning. And in those moments, you feel as if something has been taken from you.
But what if the real problem was never the event itself, but your belief that you were supposed to control it? The Stoic shift is simple, but not easy. Instead of trying to control everything, you turn inward. You focus on your thoughts, your actions, your responses, because that is where your true power lies. You may not control what happens, but you always control who you become in response to it. And this leads to another realization that quietly shapes how people live their lives. Most of what you fear never actually happens. The mind has a tendency to create scenarios that feel real, even when they are not. It imagines failure, rejection, embarrassment. It plays out conversations that never occur and consequences that never arrive. And because these imagined outcomes feel vivid, you begin to act as if they are certain. You hesitate, you avoid, you delay. Seneca observed this clearly when he said that we suffer more in imagination than in reality. Think about how many opportunities are lost because of fear that never materializes. A conversation you didn't have, a risk you didn't take, a path you didn't explore. Not because it was impossible, but because it felt uncomfortable. The Stoics approached fear differently. They didn't try to eliminate it, they examined it. What exactly are you afraid of? What is the worst-case scenario? And if it happens, can you handle it? More often than not, the answer is yes. And when you realize that, fear begins to lose its grip because you see it for what it is, not a prediction of reality, but a distortion of it. And yet, even when fear fades, another force often takes its place: the need for approval.
There is a quiet pressure that follows people throughout their lives. The pressure to be seen a certain way, to be liked, to avoid judgment. And because of this, many people don't live freely. They perform. They choose their actions based on how they think others will perceive them. They hold back their thoughts. They adjust their behavior. They avoid standing out. All because of an invisible audience that is far less focused on them than they believe. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that people are too occupied with their own concerns to think about you as much as you assume. And if you reflect on your own experience, this becomes clear. How often do you spend your day thinking deeply about other people's small mistakes or awkward moments? Rarely. And yet, you assume others are constantly doing that about you. This is the illusion. The truth is, most people are thinking about themselves, their problems, their fears, their plans. And in realizing this, something liberating happens. You no longer feel the need to live for their approval. You begin to live according to your own principles. Because at the end of the day, their opinions are temporary, but your character, that stays with you. And this brings us to a more subtle but equally dangerous trap: comfort. At first, comfort feels like something to pursue, a reward, a sign that life is going well. But over time, it becomes something else, a limitation. When you avoid difficulty, you also avoid growth. When you choose what is easy, you slowly weaken your ability to handle what is hard. And life, inevitably, will become hard. The Stoics understood this, which is why they practiced voluntary discomfort, not because they enjoyed suffering, but because they knew it prepared them. If you only ever operate within comfort, you become fragile. Small disruptions feel overwhelming. Minor challenges feel unbearable. But when you learn to face discomfort willingly, something changes. You become resilient. Think about the areas of your life where you feel stuck, where you delay action, where you tell yourself, "I'll do it later." Often, it is not a lack of ability, but a resistance to discomfort. And the cost of that resistance is time, which leads to perhaps the most brutal realization of all. Time is the one thing you are always spending, whether you realize it or not. And unlike money, you cannot earn it back. Seneca wrote that people are careful with their possessions, but careless with their time. They protect what they own, yet give away their days as if they are unlimited. Look at how easily time disappears. Hours spent scrolling, distracting yourself, postponing what matters. It doesn't feel significant in the moment, but over months, over years, it accumulates. And one day, you look back and realize how much of your life was spent unconsciously, not because you chose it, but because you didn't question it. The Stoics practiced something called memento mori, remembering that you would die, not as a source of fear, but as a source of clarity.
Because when you truly understand that your time is limited, your priorities change. You stop treating your days casually. You become more intentional. You begin to ask yourself, is this how I want to spend my life? And slowly, you start to see your life differently. You notice where you've been chasing control instead of focusing on your response, where fear has held you back without reason, where you've been seeking approval from people who are not even paying attention. You see where comfort has kept you stagnant, where time has been slipping through unnoticed. And this awareness is not meant to create regret, it is meant to create change. Because the difference between wisdom and regret is timing. Regret happens when you understand too late. Wisdom happens when you understand now. Life does not wait for you to be ready. It moves forward regardless of your awareness. And every day you delay understanding is a day you cannot recover. But the moment you begin to see clearly, you step out of that pattern. You stop drifting. You start living deliberately. And in doing so, you align yourself with something the Stoics valued above all else: clarity. Not perfection, not control, but clarity. To see things as they are, to act according to reason, to live without unnecessary illusion. Because in the end, life is not as complicated as it seems. It is simply a series of moments. And how you choose to see them and respond to them defines everything. So, take a moment and ask yourself honestly, which of these lessons have you been postponing? And more importantly, what will you do differently now that you see them? If this made you reflect, consider sharing your thoughts below. And if you want to explore more ideas like this, you can continue with the next video. Because the earlier you understand these truths, the less you will have to regret later.